from that tower.
Welcome everybody to our Tuesday evening, and tonight we're doing something slightly different. In sticking with the month of October being Women's Month and specifically Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we had a very interesting talk last night with our dietitian Liz Geertz, and tonight I've borrowed one of her presentations and edited in one of my previous presentations into it as well, just to cover women's health in general. So I'm going to share my screen over here. And down so I can get to my, there we go. Shrink everybody else down so that I can see my pictures. Right. So we're going to start off with one of the things that I found that I did covered in one of my previous talks. And this is getting into menopause, perimenopause, and it's that infamous hot flashes, which is the sensations of flushing or feeling warm, sometimes accompanied by sweating in menopausal women. Hot flashes result from fluctuating hormone levels during menopause or perimenopause, as I learned just recently. And the estrogen levels in women in the US are often far higher than those of women in many other parts of the world, partly because of diet. The greater the fluctuation in hormone levels, the greater the menopausal symptoms will tend to be. So if your hormones are completely out of whack, you are not going to be a happy camper. The high estrogen levels of American women are caused by excessive body fat, poor nutrition, and lack of exercise. As we know, people in the US are probably some of the heaviest people in the world, and obesity is not just is becoming, but has become an extremely large problem, pardon the pun, and also a very expensive problem because of all the issues that spin off as a result of the obesity. The situation is aggravated by exposure to hormone mimics, which are known as xenoestrogens, that are released into the environment in the form of pesticides, herbicides, plastics, surfactants, and other chemicals. And the surfactants and things, scarily enough, are often found in our common household laundry powders. You've got a lot of fillers because if you're doing laundry and you use a commercial brand of laundry powder, you usually use quite a large cup of powder. Now, probably 2/3 of that is fillers, and those contain these xenoestrogens or phthalates that can lead to all sorts of hormone issues, hormone-related issues, including things like breast cancer. Ovulation that is accompanied by the release of progesterone protects a woman from the worst effects of elevated estrogen levels during childbearing years. But ovulation ceases at menopause. One of the characteristics of societies without a menopause problem is a lower estrogen level to begin with, and a diet that is high in phytoestrogens or plant estrogens, which has a net effect of further lowering your estrogen. And these flavonoid foods that I've got pictured over here are just some of the things that you can use for your phytoestrogens. Supplementation with plant estrogens such as soy and flavonoids will often alleviate menopausal symptoms. Now, the common state is, oh, you can't have soy because that causes problems. No, because soy itself isn't the issue. If your soy is GMO or genetically modified, that can cause problems. If it is not processed correctly, that can cause problems. But soy in its natural form is actually very good for you and and is very helpful in alleviating the menopausal symptoms. These weak estrogenic substances block some of the action of stronger estrogens produced within the body. So you've got It's almost like fighting fire with fire, for want of any better terminology. So flavonoids, which are water-soluble coloring pigments found in fruits and vegetables, offer a very special benefit for hot flashes. And flavonoids are not only weakly estrogenic, but they also work to improve the functioning of the circulatory system, which is a key benefit where hot flashes are involved. In 1964, Charles Smith wrote that 1,200 milligrams of flavonoids, together with an equal amount of vitamin C, could alleviate hot flashes with remarkable effectiveness, meaning no funny medication. Now, phospholipids and phytosterols, apart from being very big words, B-complex vitamins and minerals, including calcium and magnesium and vitamin E, all work together to improve your hormone balance and offer a promise for hot flashes and menopausal symptoms. So by taking all of this, or including it in your diet at the very least, could severely reduce the hot flashes and the menopausal symptoms. Now, your liver is an important player in overall hormone balance, and each of these nutrients plays a role in improving liver function. Since abnormal intestinal bacteria can cause reabsorption of estrogen, the body is attempting to excrete. By restoring your normal intestinal flora, this might relieve various conditions that are related to hormone imbalance. Fiber, fiber and acidophilus supplementation, acidophilus being one of the probiotics, as well as brewer's yeast, could be expected to encourage normal bowel function and promote better hormone balance. And your brewer's yeast is often the base for vitamin B. Low serotonin levels may be a trigger for PMS. Serotonin levels naturally drop prior to a woman's period. Some women have such low levels of serotonin that this drop leaves insufficient amounts of this chemical messenger to maintain psychological health, which would explain a lot why with PMS, people are very agitated, very tense, and all those other psychological issues because your serotonin levels have dropped too low to be able to control that. Dietary and lifestyle changes may also make menopause easier to survive. We're not saying it's going to cure it, but it's certainly going to make it more tolerable for you and for everybody around you, I think. High intake of sugar and fat, specifically bad fats, promotes weight gain, and this causes estrogen levels to spiral upwards. Nature loves balance, so wherever there's an imbalance, you're going to have problems. Exercise keeps the weight down, and lower weight is usually reflected in lower estrogen levels. So it's a win-win. Now, millions of American women have been prematurely thrown into menopause with the accompanying symptoms by hysterectomies. If you've had a hysterectomy at a relatively young age, you are going to be having menopausal type issues. Myomectomy, which is a surgical removal of uterine fibroids, is one advisable alternative. So if your doctor recommends a hysterectomy, please ask him if there are any viable alternatives, like having a myomectomy instead. The ultimate solution for an easy transition through menopause is lower estrogen levels. Sounds simple, but not that easy to do. A way of living that leads in this direction combines a diet high in vegetables, rich in phytochemicals and fiber, while low in fat and sugars, with a reasonable amount of exercise. And we're not saying go out and join a gym and try and push as many weights as possible. Going for a walk around your garden is a good exercise. Parking a little bit further away from the entrance to the shopping mall is a good way of exercising. I do know some people go into the mall and walk up and down as a safe way of exercising. All of these are good things. Reducing excessive estrogen levels offers many benefits. These include improving sluggish circulation, decreasing the risk of stroke and clotting, because when blood stops moving or slows down, it can clot. So by getting your circulation better, you're going to reduce your risk. You're also reducing your mood swings by normalizing the copper and zinc levels, and you decrease the risk of migraine, fibroids, endometriosis, and autoimmune diseases. So the suggestions sound simple as always, not always easy to do. Avoid excess sugar and fat intake. Consume a variety of seeds, beans, grains, and vegetables, which are rich in phytonutrients and fiber. So not just any grains, but specifically the ones that are rich in phytonutrients. And if you can't have the grains because you are gluten intolerant or allergic to gluten, or you just can't get them, we do have a range of grain oils, which to the best of my knowledge are gluten-free, because it is not the entire grain, but simply the oils, which are the important part, in a product called TreaNN. Now this contains wheat, rice, and soy oils, and is a uniquely produced product and unique to our company as well. We need to supplement with the vitamin B complex and vitamin C with flavonoids to support hormone regulation. Please remember, never just a vitamin B12 or a vitamin B6 or a vitamin B2. We need the entire complex so that they work together and your body can utilize the entire load. Our flavonoid complex, again, is a unique product. It contains, I think it's in excess of 600 different flavonoids from all your water-soluble fruits and veggies that are very high in flavonoids. And we need to supplement with vitamin E complex. Again, vitamin E is not just a single E, it is a complex of 8. We won't go into the fancy words right now, but please note that if you're using a synthetic vitamin E or an isolate vitamin E, you're doing yourself a major disservice. Use a complex. You also need to include calcium, magnesium, and other minerals, as well as essential fatty acids for their anti-inflammatory properties, and then the phytosterols, which are your grain oils. We do have quite a handy little pack that has got all of these things in it if you're wanting more convenience. So we have the Formula 4, which is a multivitamin and mineral with the phytosterols. We have a vitamin E, which has got a complex of all 8 of them in there. But a vitamin B complex, a vitamin C with flavonoids, and we've got the multi-mineral, which is basically all your trace minerals together in a chelated form. So some of the core products, and now I'm going to go into specifically the Neolife products. So please note, this is not an advertising type presentation, but this is general information. We are using the Neolife products because from a personal perspective, I know that they have been well researched, carefully formulated scientifically, and use nature's blueprint. So in other words, if the raw ingredients are not found in the normal human food chain, Neolife will not even look at that raw ingredient. They take only organically grown, vine-ripened fruits and veggies and process them into a supplement form. So the core products are our protein shake and then the Pro Vitality, which I'll get into in a second. Now, Pro Vitality it's a very handy little sachet, and it contains 4 different products, which is the whole grains, which we've spoken about now, your fish oils, your vitamins and minerals, and your fruits and veggies in the form of carotenoids. This just gives you a closer up version of it. but your whole grains is your treonine. Your fish oils is your omega-3, known as salmon oil plus, mostly because it's not just salmon oil, but is salmon, tuna, and sardines, if I'm not mistaken. So there are 3 different oily fish that they use in there that have been tested for over 200 known contaminants with a detectable rate of 0. So you can rest assured that the omega-3 that has been produced by Neolife is 100% non-toxic. Now, the vitamin and minerals is a multivitamin and mineral, which is all together in one handy little supplement over there. If I'm not mistaken, there's 18 different vitamins and minerals in that particular supplement. And then the carotenoid complex, which is all your fat-soluble antioxidant fruits and veggies. The Neolife shake is a pure protein, meaning that it has got all 22 amino acids in it. Sorry, pardon me. Which is pretty unique because a lot of protein shakes out there are not a complete protein. They are synthetic by nature, and they do not have all 22 amino acids. And unless you have all 22, you do not have a complete protein, and you're going to have a problem. And this particular protein shake has been developed specifically with diabetics in mind to give a complete glycemic response, which is in total balance. So it is not going to spike your sugars up and down. It's going to keep your sugar levels at a consistent level all the time. It contains 18 grams of protein. It contains 5 grams of fiber, which again is very good for your diabetics because diabetics need extra fiber to be able to mop up the extra sugars in the system, specifically in the kidneys, to help prevent damage over there. It contains vitamins and minerals. It's low in kilojoules, so it can be used as a meal replacement. So if you're needing to lose some weight, you can use this safely as a meal replacement. And I can tell you from personal experience, it keeps you feeling full for a good few hours of the day. There's some things that you need to know as well that are not in the shake. There is no high fructose corn syrup. If you've ever seen that on a label, please know your corn syrup is lethal. It is an extremely concentrated form of sugar, which is really not good for you. There are no preservatives. There's no gluten. Again, handy for those who are gluten intolerant and therefore battle to get the proteins and the grains that they need. There's no cholesterol, which is also good if you've got high cholesterol. There's no saturated fats. And there's no hydrogenated fats or trans fats. These are your bad fats, for want of any better terminology. It is 90% lactose free. So if you have a lactose intolerance, you should be able to consume this shake. Please speak to somebody to ask if you can test a sample first. If you are allergic to dairy, then you probably won't be able to use this shake, unfortunately. And Neolife products use only GMO-free ingredients. Genetically modified organisms are a big problem these days in our food and are showing to be causing all sorts of problems. Genetically modified is different to grafting. We won't get into that just yet. And there is no artificial anything in any of these products. I really, really appreciate that part. So this little combination here is known as your breakfast pack, because when you start your day, you want a balanced, high protein meal to get your body in the correct state of mind, again, for want of better terminology, to get you going for the day. So by having a meal replacement protein shake, which you can mix up in a smoothie, you can mix with milk, you can mix it with milk, you can mix it with yogurt, you can mix it with water. I like it with plain water, occasionally for taste difference, I mix up a little bit of yogurt in there as well, and it really makes a good breakfast. Together with the Pro Vitality. Now, personally, I don't use the Pro Vitality as in the sachet form, but I do use the individual products because I like to have a couple of these things twice a day instead of just once a day. And then I also give them to the rest of my family as well. So purely from a financial perspective for us and convenience, it's easier to use the individual products. But when traveling, Pro Vitality works really, really well. Now, the importance of calcium. We've all heard that calcium is important, specifically in the ladies. So as a child, you have a good level of calcium and therefore a good bone mass as well. As we start to age, if you're not getting the calcium from your diet, your dairy products, your veggies, you're starting to lose calcium. If you're drinking fizzy drinks, you're losing calcium. You do not see it or feel it at the time, but you notice it at a later age, like at menopause, where suddenly people start falling and they don't bounce so well. And then they come and visit me at work. And with all due respects, but I really don't want to meet them at work because that means that they're in pain and they've had a fractured hip or a fractured back. Our CalMag is chelated. I don't really have too much time to get into the chelation part of it, but know that with minerals are generally not easily absorbed in the body, even in your diet. Now, we have a unique product that was developed specifically with the chelation. So it means that the minerals have been bonded with an amino acid. Our body recognizes amino acids, is able to absorb amino acids, and then simply takes in the calcium and the magnesium along with it. So you have a much better absorption. You've got about an 80% absorption with a chelated mineral, whereas with a non-chelated, you're only getting about a 10 to 20% absorption. You also need to have things in synergy. So calcium with magnesium in a 2-to-1 ratio, and they've got vitamin D in there as well. As I explained about the chelation for the higher absorption, the vitamin D is also there for better absorption and for bone health. And it is an appropriate dosage because 3 of these tablets taken last thing at night will give you about 510 grams of calcium together with the magnesium and the vitamin D. So 3 tablets is 300 milligrams of calcium, 150 milligrams of magnesium, and you should not have more than 500 to 600 milligrams per dose. It is double amino acid chelated, so it's not just an amino acid, it's got 2 amino acids that have been bonded on there. And this technology was developed by Dr. Arthur First, and he's incidentally the same doctor who developed oral chemotherapy way back in the beginning, and didn't like what he was doing, so he wanted to go into the health prevention as instead of the illness cures. So this is where he came over to our side and helped to develop the minerals and the nutrients and the nutrition to counteract the effects and to neutralize the effects after the treatment of chemotherapy. So with the double amino acid chelation, it significantly increases absorption of minerals. It is less irritating to the stomach and intestines. And this means a rapid disintegration, dissolution, and dispersion. Big words, but basically, if you're swallowing a supplement, if it is not able to be broken down, get into the bloodstream and into the cells, it's not doing anything in your body. The omega-3 fatty acids, as I said, oops, and I'm running out of time over here, are an excellent source of natural anti-inflammatories. And these particular ones are specifically necessary in pregnant and lactating moms because baby needs omega-3s for their brain, for their eyes, for their nerves, for their joints. This particular salmon oil, as I said, contains all 8 of the omega-3s, not just the EPA and DHA like most of them have got. And it has been molecularly differentiated, so they're taking out all the bits that tend to echo on you, they're taking out all the toxins, and they're leaving you with a pure omega-3 supplement. There are clinical tests that have proven the effectiveness of this to lower the inflammatory index and triglycerides, etc. And it's the world's finest ultra-high potency fish oil, complete with a standardized amount of all 8 omega-3s with a guaranteed purity in every single dose. The Heart Association recommends specifically for ladies that you have a minimum of 2 servings of omega-3 rich fish each week. I don't think the vast majority of us have this in a month, to be quite honest. In South Africa, fish consumption in all populations is very low because of concerns about contaminants such as lead, mercury, and PCBs. Your heart beats over 100,000 times every day. This could explain why you get so tired at night. And omega-3s were associated with a 10% lower risk of fatal heart attacks. Not to say you're not going to have a heart attack, but the chances of you dying from it then is at least 10% less. Cruciferous. These are the powerful nutrients that are found in the cruciferous vegetables. Things like broccoli, radishes, kale, black and brown mustard, watercress, and they are there to enhance the detoxification systems and promote a stable, healthy estrogen balance. As we spoke about the estrogen levels earlier, you're getting this from these veggies. Now, if you're not getting all of these veggies on a daily basis, at least, you're not getting sufficient cruciferous. So therefore, my recommendation is take it in a supplement form. We're needing all 22 amino acids to maintain muscle mass. Both of these shakes, one's is a whey, the sport performance protein is a whey protein that is aimed more at athletes. But if you can't tolerate the dairy in the Neolife shake, you can have the whey in the sports protein one. Feminine Herbal Complex, commonly known as Happy Tablets. They influence the central hormone system. Herbs help with hot flushes, excess sweating, and inflammation. They help with cycle regularity and normality, like birth control pills. Fertility, discomfort, such as spasms or cramping, fluid retention and bloating. Now, the Feminine Herbal Complex is there to help with all of these issues, as well as the emotional side. Low mood, low vitality, anxiety, irritability. There is your Feminine Herbal Complex. So this is a complex of herbs specifically formulated to counteract all of these issues. So my apologies for rushing this at the end over here, but for a healthy start to an energy-filled day, the recommendation is have a good protein shake together with your nutrients that are your whole grains, your carotenoids, your omega-3, your multivitamin and mineral. And that should help you to lead a very healthy, happy, stable life without having any issues with hormones and with the menopause issues. So that, ladies and gentlemen, the end of my presentation. We've got about 5 minutes, so if anybody has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and fire away, and I will attempt to answer those questions.
Stunningly done. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Go for it, Candace.
So I've spoken to you a little bit about my cancer that I've had and that I'm in remission for 5 years. I'm on estrogen blockers at the moment, and I've always been warned against phytoestrogens from my oncologists.
Mhm.
So now I hear this, and I'm like, oh, so are all phytoestrogens not equal then?
Correct. They're not all equal. Some are good, some are bad. And obviously, when your doctor says something, you always listen to the doctor first until you've done further research. But
No, for sure. It's not.
yes, but the phytoestrogens that are in these range of products should not clash with any of the medications or anything that you're currently taking, but it should in fact boost them.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic.
I will
Okay.
clarify that with our dietitian as well, who's a product specialist up in Johannesburg. But as far as I know, you should be able to be perfectly safe taking things like the cruciferous, especially, to assist you.
No, thank you for that. No, that was just one thing that I was concerned about, because there's just so much like conflicting information. And if you think about it, I think my issue is mainly that the cancer is like a multi-billion-dollar industry. So I'm at the point where you to believe it.
And sadly enough, doctors are not trained in nutrition.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah, they're trained in treating a problem with a pharmaceutical drug. They're not trained in preventing a problem and in nutrition. Scarily enough, very few dietitians are trained in nutrition as well.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I picked up by working with some of the dietitians. And once I started educating them, they went, wow, nobody taught us that at university.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you, okay, so you take the supplements and you take the products.
Mhm.
Is your product dietitian or someone also able to sort of guide you on what kind of natural whole foods you should be eating?
Yes.
In addition to that. Okay.
Yes, very definitely. So we always say you need to have a balanced diet. Now, the question, of course, is what is a balanced diet? And more importantly, do we get a balanced diet? And most of us don't. And that is where the supplements come in. So a supplement is in conjunction to. So what I normally do, and I look at somebody, is I go through, once again, I'm saying I am not a dietitian, I am not a doctor, but there's a series of questions that have been composed by a clinical nutritionist that I use. We go through the questions and we can see exactly, or pretty close, what you're eating, what you're not eating, and where you're falling short. And from there, we can develop the program. Obviously, being your ultimate is always to have raw fruits and veggies, and cook from scratch food, not junk foods and that sort of thing. Lifestyle doesn't always allow that. So quite often we end up having the fast foods. Every so often that's okay, regular, not so okay. The toxicologist will tell you your poison is in the dose. Too much of anything can be bad for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get together with you and chat a lot because we've got less than a minute, unfortunately. So I'm going to wrap this up.
That's fine. No, thank you for answering those questions. It was super helpful.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sean. It was great.
Further. And we'll see you again on.
Take care.
Well done, Sean.
Thank you.
Yep.